Hey guys, it's the episode 3 of our TemplateMonster Podcast for creatives. Irene and Alex here. In this episode, we're going to be talking about digital trends in 2020. And as you know, we've called this episode like digital trends, but in reality, these are more like marketing trends, which are closely tied to web design, as usual, of course. And so we decided not to dwell on the marketing stuff and just say that this is like a general digital trends thing to discuss. These trends are gaining momentum, and I guess that we'll have a fruitful conversation today.
Yeah, we will, because we put together a short list of things that we're going to be talking about, and we also gathered some statistics, a ton of info about how all this thing is going to unravel in the 2020 in particular, and from now on. In the future, it's going to be developing, growing, and changing even faster, and you gotta catch up, right? Because
right.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out on such things because, if you have a website which is, not up to date, which just doesn't have the functionality that the average user expects it to have, then, well, it's pretty bad. So you got to fix that. You got to make sure that your website actually, that it
lives up to their expectations. Yeah.
Yes, and that it actually can stand to against the competition, right? Because the competition is crazy right now. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you gotta make sure that you keep your game. All right, so what exactly are we going to be talking about today? What trends, what tendencies, what functionality that's going to be appearing and developing? What exactly?
So as I've been researching a little bit for this podcast, I've found several trends that, they have been around for some time. But I guess that in 2020, as many experts say, they're going to be gaining momentum and they're going to be, developing. And maybe there's going to be something new about the way they work for web design as well as marketing. So the first trend is voice search. Then we're going to be touching upon chatbots and artificial intelligence. And actually, we're going to be talking about machine learning. So this is also a great thing to discuss. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Finally, we're going to be talking a little more about what's, tied closer to what we're doing. This is video in web design. Yeah, and marketing. And I guess that we'll round up with your favorite kind of reality, whether this is an AR or VR. Everybody chooses their own reality. So, okay, let's start with the first one. The first trend is voice search, and it's been around for some time, and it has been huge in SEO. And as we all know, a lot of people are using different gadgets, and they use voice search on these gadgets. And so, as the statistics suggest, almost 1/3 of the 3.5 billion searches performed on Google every day are voice searches. So people are lazy. They don't want to type in anything anymore. They want to voice it out,
Like 1/3 of all the searches daily, of all daily searches on Google are voice searches, right?
Yeah, right.
It's crazy. And but I can believe it. I can imagine that it can be true because, I've heard, I don't remember where, I was listening or reading, but somebody said that, well, typing and writing, this is actually not really natural to people, because the very first way of communication that we came up with was actually using our voice, and for us it was more natural. And there's this tendency, there is this prediction that eventually this will all be, there will be mostly voice interactions. Like, this is why the devices like Alexa, Siri and stuff, no, Siri not a device, but you got this software,
a personal assistant,
all that kind of stuff which we can interact with using our voice. This is why it's so popular right now, because it's so much easier and faster than typing. So this percentage, this 33-35%, which is like 30% right now, right?
Right.
Of daily searches on Google and on websites and everywhere. It's going to be only going up, right?
Yeah, but as I wanted to point out, that according to SEO and SEO trends, there's also a part of the voice searches called near me searches, which is basically whenever you're in some location, you don't know where you are, like whatever, and you're looking for something like some enterprise or some cafe or some,
Right.
I don't know, shop.
Yeah.
So you're just, plugging in, you're just turning this assistant and asking them like, I don't know, the cafe near me or the shop near me, and they're giving you all of the directions straight away. So this is actually amazing. This is mind-blowing. You can get this information in like, I don't know, mere seconds, and you're not lost anymore. So isn't this great?
Well, yeah, this is crazy, actually. Like everything that we will be talking about today, that's all is mind blowing, really, at least to me.
This is future.
Yeah.
The future, yeah.
I can't wrap my head around the fact that there are some people who are actually working on making this stuff come true. They were actually working on these products and the software and stuff like that. But we're drifting away again. So, in terms of from the perspective of SEO and a website structure and all that kind of stuff, how is this tendency and this trend is going to impact the way we create websites and develop websites and build websites and design websites?
Well, of course, websites have to be mobile friendly. This is like not an option in 2020. This is a must. And if someone like a website builder does not understand this, they're going to drag behind. And of course, this also influences the way people use videos within their websites and how they use the written information, because the average voice search result is about 29 words long. So and this is also according to the statistic, because people are, learning about this, and we are learning about the ways we're actually using this instrument. And so basically, voice search, it kind of urges us to think of the mobile first design. And as we made one of the videos on our YouTube channel dedicated to this very thing,
right?
The mobile first design.
We have a YouTube channel. Don't forget to go and subscribe, because we got a lot of cool, great videos coming up. And actually we'll be talking about trends a little bit more and about some practices that some of which are quite old-fashioned, and you gotta get rid of them like ASAP, like right now. And we're going to be talking about that on our channel too. And I'm just saying, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff. So if you're listening, just pause the podcast and go and check out our channel, and then come back. Well, if you want. All right. So, so you're saying that to make it possible to search for something using voice search, all we need is like make sure that our site is mobile friendly, or maybe there's some other type of functionality that we have to implement on the website to make it possible.
Yeah, it's also called a schema markup. And it's kind of an SEO thing, but what it does to your website is this is like a part of some code that you put onto your website, obviously, and the Google bot, whenever it crawls your website, it reads this code, and then it allows people who are searching for something using voice search. This code helps to bring your website up in their search results page.
Wow.
And so they can actually go there and see what's on the website. So if, for instance, your competitors don't have this markup on their website, they won't be shown in the search results, and obviously people won't see them.
We are actually back because we were interrupted by some software issues and some people issues. So we can continue our discussion from now on. And we just talked about the voice search on Google and how this changed, that actually 30% of all the daily searches performed on Google are actually voice searches. So how this change is going to impact your website and its chances to appear in the search results, right?
Right.
And the next one, what is the next trend?
Chatbots and a little bit of artificial intelligence that are here to stay.
Yay. For sure it will. It will. Maybe not all of us are happy about that, but yeah, because all of the risks that are connected to all that artificial intelligence stuff. But yeah, it's definitely
The machine rebellion.
not too much like sci-fi and stuff, but about more realistic side of things, it's like that a lot of jobs and a lot of people will be just replaced with some software, some program which will be doing all that stuff without any people's help. So,
for instance, customer service specialists can really, really suffer from the overuse or, use of chatbots on websites because, as the statistics suggest, again, 45% of end users prefer using chatbots as a primary mode of communication in customer service. So, according to this number, people are rather to talk to a machine than to talk to a person, which is stunning.
Well, I can see why, because probably there is a certain algorithm that you have in a chatbot, right? So you get a number of options and you choose one of these options, and then you proceed to another branch of some other options, and then you go right to the point which you want to get to. But if you're talking to a person, there is like a really human factor, and it's not always, sometimes there might be some miscommunication, but you cannot run into some miscommunication with a bot, with a software.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't cuss, they don't use cuss words, so
well,
you won't get offended at least.
And that too, right? And on the end of the actual business, like if you're a online store or something, or maybe you sell something, or maybe you're a service or something like that. I don't know if it's always the best solution to put chatbots everywhere and get rid of all the human
to human communication.
The representatives. I don't know if it's a good idea, but to resolve some of the claims and some of the customer maybe questions or something like that, I think it's a way to go.
And
you're saying that half of the people prefer using chatbots.
Yeah, and I also found in the article that I used to get ready for this podcast at Smart Insights website, they say that in the next 5 years, approximately 80% of business communications will be performed through bot messengers. So 80%. This is like a huge number.
Yeah.
So businesses are probably going to replace people with machines eventually, as the statistic says.
Yeah, maybe so. Out of 10 sales representatives, there will be like 8 or 1. Out of 10, there will be like 2 or 1 human sales representative or sales manager or whatever. And because the 80% of all the work will be left for chatbots.
Yeah, which also leads us to the next trend, which is machine learning, and it is tied up to the artificial intelligence. And according to the latest articles in the industry and the latest industry research, it suggests that the investment into artificial intelligence startups has grown like 6 times since the year 2000. So you just can't imagine how intensely people are working to make the dream come true.
Right, but how is this going to impact the way we build websites and the way we run our websites and interact with websites as users? How is this going to impact this entire process? Maybe Oh, okay. I got one interesting thought, but at first, sorry,
Okay.
I'm not going to be interrupting you.
Well, what I just intended to say is
Yeah.
that it is already influencing the way we're interacting with websites because, take YouTube. This is pure artificial intelligence and this is pure machine learning example because whenever you're listening to some songs, for instance, or some artists more often than to other artists, obviously this machine like that's set up behind the
The
YouTube,
algorithm, yeah.
yeah, algorithm, yeah, sorry, it just picks the songs according to your preferences and makes like a mix of your favorite songs, and so you
Yes,
don't have to make playlists anymore, you don't have
right.
to waste your time. So this is machine learning in action, isn't it?
Yeah, which is crazy. You remember how we used to, well, I didn't, but I'm pretty sure that some people did, to grab these cassette tapes and record like several songs on there, like,
Yeah.
and then present it to somebody as a gift. Just record your favorite songs on a tape and give it to somebody. You
Well,
have to
I
remember.
used to get like CDs, like, but those were personalized. So what I'm trying to say is that artificial intelligence and machine learning are gonna, lead to better personalization of websites. And
Yeah.
so whenever this is like a big service or streaming service or whatever, like Netflix or YouTube, they're
Yeah,
gonna
sure.
be, yeah,
Right.
tweaked to serve your only like preferences and your desires.
Yeah, it will already know. For example, I can imagine a homepage of some store, like store which is selling, I don't know, templates, website templates, design assets or whatever. And I can
Yeah.
imagine, like if you have an account, or maybe even if you don't have an account, but there are still cookies. So
Hmm.
when you just open up the homepage of some of such store, everything is gonna be like personally for you. It's gonna look the way it's going to look as a product of all of your interactions with the website. I mean, if you been there the previous time and you looked through, I don't know, illustrations or fonts or something like that, the next time you're going to go to that website, on the homepage, right on the homepage, you're going to see some newly uploaded fonts and newly uploaded illustrations, because the website remembered that the last time you looked through some illustrations and some fonts, right?
Yeah, and also there's a technology called ADI, or artificial design intelligence
Wow.
tools, which like are making fundamental change in the way websites are designed. And so I've read about the grid, which is the service, like a web constructor of a website. But it's based on artificial intelligence. And so there's like an automated web creator, which actually has a name. It is called Molly. And this technology used to help people create websites, but unfortunately, it had a very spectacular debut, and it didn't live up to the expectations of many people. But still, this is like a tryout of what can be done,
Yeah,
in
in like
this area.
5, 6 years from now, it's gonna look completely different. The way we make websites, the way we even approach this process. I mean, now you know what it looks like. You got a person who wants to build a website, they have a certain list of features they want to see in there. They go to a designer, then they go to a developer to put it all together. Then they gotta set everything up on the back end and the front end, and set up all the functionality. And it takes months. Sometimes it does take months to get from your idea of having a website to actually seeing it live online,
Yeah, exactly.
doing its thing. But I can see that from like several years from now, it's gonna all take literally, well, now it's already taken, depending on the complexity of the website, it might take like up to several hours to see your website online. But what do you think, what is the probability of excluding the human factor from this entire process, like at all?
Well, I guess the probability is quite high because, I read another fact about the artificial intelligence, and it comes from Google. And based on Google's analysis, it is believed that, in the year 2020, So this year, robots will become smart enough to mimic the complex behavior of humans, like flirting and jokes.
And what does it have to do with websites?
Well, I don't know, but if it's a dating website, then probably
Ew.
it has something to do.
The future looks depressing.
Yeah,
Oh, come on.
definitely.
I mean, really, it's exciting, it's scary, and it is really depressing at the same time. I don't know how it can be like that, but it is definitely. It's crazy, really. And,
we sound like two downshifters who want to leave everything, like the technology, and go to live in Siberia for the rest of our lives, out in the forest, in the open.
well, like off the grid, yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but I think I would. When I'm old and can't, catch up with everything that's going on, then I probably will. All right.
Okay.
Anyways, so I also think that the probability of, leaving actually people out of this entire process is quite high in the future. Like in several years, it's quite possible that you won't need a person to like design a website, because now there are now tons of not only like software or cloud-based software and stuff like that, but there's also a ton of templates, presets, and you can basically just grab ready-made blocks and put it all together, and you got a website already.
Yeah, right.
And of course, it's gonna take a lot more time and effort to design something more complex than a one-page website or a landing page or something like that. But definitely. Have you noticed how actually this entire, even the terms and the names of some of the professions in web design, web development have changed over the years? Before it was like website designer. Now it was like UX, UI designer. Then it's like experience
Architect.
designer. No, hold on, experience designer, something like that. I've come across this thing. And because we don't design interfaces, we design experiences or something like that. And the funny thing here is that, well, I believe it's going to be, in the future, it's very likely that there will be a lot fewer web designers and a lot fewer web developers.
Right.
Front-end developers and stuff like that. But maybe there will be fewer. But the ones that will stay, they will be, like really high quality and really, only for the chosen ones, I would say, like the ones that create really something unique. But for some mundane tasks, we can really use machines, we can use AI, because let's admit it, in everybody's work, doesn't matter what you do, even if you're a marketer, if you're an SEO specialist, if you're a web designer, graphic designer, there's a lot of work which is
we seek automation.
Yes, which is mechanical. You don't have to think about something. There's no creative process in some of the things that we have to do. We just have to do them because they're tedious, they're boring, they suck out all of your energy, but you still have to do them. And these are the things that we could use machines for, and leave the creativity and all the exciting and interesting stuff to people. And I really hope that this is how it is going to unravel, and this is how it is going to look in the future, that we will use a lot of advanced technology to create something really cool using our brains with the help of machines and artificial intelligence. But I really hope that it's not gonna impact us in a negative way. All right.
Yeah, that's a bright perspective. Yeah. I like it.
Me too. Is that it? Oh, I mean, this is a really exciting topic. It's a really broad topic. You could talk about it like for hours,
absolutely,
I believe. But we gotta keep going. We gotta move on to the
next trend. Yeah.
Right. What is it?
It's video, and video is gonna be going strong in 2020 and further on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're one of those professionals who are still in demand, and are not going to be,
We'll see about
substituted
that,
by
actually.
by an
I
artificial intelligence,
I
hopefully.
wouldn't be making predictions, but let's hope so.
Okay.
I mean, this is definitely one of those creative fields that also under quite a high risk. So.
I'm going to be talking about some other aspects of video that might influence web design and social media because, people now are using social media more and more often. And, it's becoming overwhelming, especially with Instagram and TikTok. And the consumption of video content has become fast, like, lightning fast. And people, are turning more to live video feeds, and they love what's happening in the real time.
Mm-hmm.
So the prediction for this trend is actually that live video feeds are going to explode. And the important aspect of all of this is making original content because there is so much content online that it is hard to make something that stands out. And so the task of content makers is becoming very challenging because people need something to remember you by, and you need to think of something that will definitely catch the eye of your potential audience and make them linger for these 3 to 10 seconds on your video. So, like, maybe if it's the social media, I'm talking about social media right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as for the YouTube channel, it has become like the second largest search engine in the world, and we can't deny that. And the number of people who are using YouTube like every month is only growing because, according to the statistics, there's like 1 billion unique users who are using YouTube on monthly basis.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have to really think in terms of video content creation, in terms of originality and uniqueness, something that will stand out like in your own niche. And this is challenging. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is challenging because you have to think about a lot of things while producing a video. It is like for most businesses, if they're actually start doing YouTube, it is for marketing reasons. They want to build sort of they want to actually grow the brand awareness, doing all of that. But sometimes just going after the views and after, all
The impressions,
the impressions and the likes and stuff like that, they forget what's important, which is actually the quality of the videos that you put out there, of the work that you do, that you put on YouTube and on all those social media. This is something that you shouldn't forget about. And right, actually it shouldn't even, it's not really, there's no point of doing that if your primary goal is just to gain those subscribers, and that's it, and expect a sale from them. Actually, YouTube is not going to bring you sales the way that you expect it to.
But it's gonna,
unless you're a huge channel with millions of subscribers, right? But
right.
It is needed to build the trust in your brand, so the people, they know that they can trust you because you provide so much valuable info, insights, and all that kind of stuff. Right. So,
well, in terms of web design, because we're straying away sometimes.
All the time.
And yeah, all the time. But this is a very exciting topic to talk about. So as you said, we can talk about it like for ages. But
for sure.
Yeah, we shouldn't. But what I've been reading on HubSpot, this is like one of the major marketing resources, is that putting a video on a landing page actually increases the conversion rates by 80%. So this proves that video does a lot of things to your marketing strategy. And even if in web design you're thinking like in a broader way, like for instance, instead of putting an image slider on your website, you could, like in a hero area, you can put a stunning video that excites and that engages people with a particular message. Then most likely people are going to look further into your website and into the products that you're offering, or maybe services. And so videos actually do a lot of good things to your website and to your business, if they're done right, of course, and as you said, if there's quality content.
Yeah, right. And of course, if you're putting a video on a landing page, if we're talking about conversion rates and, on the product page or on a landing page, doesn't matter. If you put a video in there, first of all, it has to be related to what else is there on that page. And
Of course.
I think it's pretty obvious. But second of all, you always got to think about the load time. So if the page is loading way too long, if it takes ages to load, and another statistic says that if your page is loading longer than 3 seconds, people just take off. They're not gonna wait for a page to load. They're just too impatient right now. So you got to think about that too. And it actually depends on the way you embed the videos on the pages. If it's like from some external source like YouTube or maybe Vimeo, then it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to impact the load time that in
staggeringly,
a big way. But if you're actually if you're, I don't know, if you're self-hosting a video on a website, on the page, like in Elementor, you can just not necessarily in Elementor, like in WordPress, you drop it in the media library and then you just put it somewhere on your page. This is what is going to impact the loading time a lot. So think about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, next trend, right?
The last one?
The last one is the augmented reality or virtual reality.
Right. How can it be implemented on websites? Because as far as I know, for augmented reality, I saw it in phones. Like the simplest example of the augmented reality in works, it's like if you open up Instagram and there you got all of those masks that you can, they're applied on your face and they're moving as your face moves. This is the simplest example of augmented reality, but you need a special app to be able to see it. With VR, you gotta have a headset. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. So how can it be implemented on a website?
Well, actually, to me, this is quite new to me, but from what I've read, like from what I've researched, is that which is relevant to what we do at TemplateMonster, is that there's a special plugin such as WordPress VR, and it allows designers to upload 360 videos onto WordPress sites.
It has nothing to do with AR or VR, though. Really?
I don't know. I'm lost. But I've read about this plugin anyway, and so it will help you incorporate.
360 videos are really sick. It's a great idea because I've seen a couple of examples on the web, actual websites where you could say, I don't remember, there was something with the real estate, maybe they were selling or there was for rent or something like that, and in the hero section there was this huge widget where you could use your cursor to drag around and kind of walk around a room or a house or whatever, and it just, you could turn the camera around and you could see and look around and like you would rotate your head in the real life. So it looked pretty nice, but it took ages to load that website, so be careful with that too. But it was it was something like Google Earth is doing in Street View in Google Maps. Yeah, something like that. Because you could really walk around like you would walk around that room in real life. It's not really AR or VR. AR is something like I can think of a simple example like on a website or in a Android or iOS app, on mobile app, where you like turn your camera on and you look at your room, for example, and you're like, let's say you're shopping for furniture. You want to
Yeah.
buy a coffee table. You want
Coffee
to buy
table.
coffee desk. You want to buy a coffee table, and you just point your camera in the middle of your room and you pick a table from a catalog, and it just places. It scans the plane, your floor or whatever, and it places this desk perfectly. So it's sized perfectly. It matches the physical dimensions and the actual physical size of this desk, and you can see how much space it's gonna take, how big it is, how high it is, and everything like that. So you can pretty much see this table in your room, in your actual room, just using your camera. This is how you could probably implement augmented reality on your website if you're selling it. Maybe in the future you could, try on some clothes using augmented reality. I don't know.
Yeah, but actually, I remembered like a friend of mine once told me about an app they've been developing in their company. But the company is doing apps, like making apps for the VR and all of this stuff. So actually, what they were doing is that they created an app of like a tech store where you can buy some, I don't know, gadgets or maybe some like vacuum cleaners, refrigerators, and stuff like that. And so it looked like you're actually entering the store, and there you can see all of these gadgets, and you can actually open the fridge, for example. You can look around, you can check all of its like smallest features, and then there's also like a product description. So it's like a full-blown shop where you can purchase things, but only it's like in virtual reality.
It's
So
like all of the movies, books, TV shows about the future, that just everything is coming true. Like,
yes.
I can't believe it. I just can't. Anyways, for the people who own websites like online stores, maybe some service providers or whatever, how could they use it on their website? Or is it, I believe it's not actually the time yet. It's going to be, it will be the time in a couple years probably, when this technology is more developed and it's easier to implement it on some real projects, and it actually takes less time to load, and it's not that demanding, and it's not that doesn't just
hurt the functionality.
Yeah, it doesn't strain the load time that much. And it's not only the load time. Some of these websites that try to use like 360 videos, or some of the technology that we talked about before, like walking around a room or a store, some of them are pretty clunky, because the technology in this form and that's available right now, it's not always it doesn't always perform at its best, depending on also the browser that the person is viewing this website in, and maybe this is a mobile app or something like that. It's still not there, I believe, but it soon will be, really soon.
Yeah, I agree. So for now, I guess that AR or VR can be used like a supplement for a business, or maybe like an application, like a supplementary tool for your business. If you want to sell something like your goods, something to I don't know, to showcase something in a very interesting way, like not only plain pictures or some videos, but make it like jazz it up or something.
Yeah.
If you have the funds for this, of course.
In terms of marketing strategies and marketing campaigns, I believe it's a really great tool, because a lot of people, especially young people, they're really excited about that. Remember the Face app or whatever? How was it called? The one that makes you look like you're 30 years older.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Something like that. So now it's pretty easy to create your own Instagram filter, to create your own some sort of AR app. There's a ton of information, tutorials online how to do that. So as a part of your marketing campaign, it might be a holiday marketing campaign or something like that, you could create a little interesting thing using AR or maybe using 360 videos. This all getting pretty, easily available and easily accessible for all the people. A lot of these things are open source. Like you can create some stuff in AR using Unity, which is open source engine for game developers, and there is a plugin that allows you to work with AR and stuff like that. So for your marketing campaigns, if you want campaigns, if you want to spice it up, so it's a great option. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, I guess that's it for today. We've talked about nearly like every trend that's gonna be in the digital world, like booming in the digital world. So the top trend, I mean.
Yeah, not that much about design in particular. But anyways, since marketing and design and also the programming side of things, they always go hand in hand. You as a designer, it doesn't really matter what you do. If you're a marketer, designer, developer, you gotta, stay on top of all that and be aware of what's going on, because we're all together in this, and so we all
in the same.
Yeah, we all depend on a lot of things, and not always we can have some sort of impact of what's going on. But what we can do is to try and adjust, try and be flexible, and see how we could make the most out of the current situation, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, right.
Is it a positive note to end a podcast, or was it too depressing again?
No, it's not too depressing. I believe it's positive.
All right. So, thank you so much for listening. If you actually stayed till the very end of our episode, today we have been pretty quick with the talking. We have been only 40 something minutes in. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that you gained some new insights from what we've been talking about today. And I just really hope that you go and research some more about the trends and about the statistics that interested you in particular. And just thank you for listening, and I really hope that you enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, thanks for listening. And if you're a designer or a web developer, and if you're looking for some great high quality resources for inspiration and for your day-to-day work, don't forget to check out TemplateMonster Marketplace, because there we have a lot of great resources, website templates, fonts, and whatnot.
Well, illustrations, product mockups, and a ton of stuff, which is really a ton of versatile products, which you can. Well, the licenses are also pretty flexible and adjustable and stuff like that, so you can pick the product for yourself and for your needs. And by the way, we have recently updated the website, like recently, probably last year, but it's still pretty new. And you can check out the new filtering and search system. No voice search yet, but we'll be working on that in the future. Anyways,
absolutely.
Yeah, go and check out TemplateMonster.com. A ton of design assets, like you could call it a supermarket for any designer or a developer. Right. And by the way, as I mentioned, I believe in the beginning of the episode, we've got a YouTube channel as well. And what we do there is post a lot of educational videos. We try to post 2 times a week. And, at its best, it's 2 times a week. And sometimes it's 3 times a week with the podcast episodes. But if you're interested, just go and check it out. It's tutorials, mostly elementary tutorials. And it's also educational videos about design and sometimes marketing. So if you're interested, welcome.
And as for the podcasts, I'd like to mention that we have our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, and you can check us out on SoundCloud. So feel free to tune in for the new episodes.
Yeah, cool. All right. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for listening. See you in the next one.
Yeah, see you.